There's a spider on your neck.
Thank you.
Let's cut that out.
I felt a twinge on my neck and I was thinking, I'll address that later, but thank you.
You never break character. That's amazing.
Very simple first question. How important is health to you?
Like number one priority.
Why is that?
Well, if you're not healthy, you can't do anything. Health is not just about like if you're going to the gym or if you're working out or if you're keeping active. It's also to do with your foods. It's also to do with your mental capacity to deal with things. You know, whether you're able to deal with stressful moments in certain times. Yeah, if you allow stress or mental stress to impact you, also impacts your like physical self as well. So like health is like massively important in every area to me anyway. So
Health for me means making sure that my sleep is on point, and obviously there's always deviations outside of that, but for me that's really foundational. And then laid on top of that is what I eat, and then on top of that is how I exercise, which is normally blend between sort of cardio and anaerobic fitness. Health for me as well is basically this. So walking around in a park with a friend, having a conversation, and that for me is really sort of soul nourishing, you know, so that's really, really important for me as well. I've been thinking really carefully about this for the last 20 years, like daily journaling about it and doing a lot of research around it, and I've kind of settled on, at a very high level, sort of foundational fasting. I normally start my day and stay fasted until around sort of 2, 3, 4 p.m. And then I normally have a sort of a feeding window, which is quite tight, of maybe sort of 3 hours or so. And then, so when I do break my fast, it's sort of it's a monumental event. I normally start with the lowest glycemic index food, or essentially vegetables, and then work my way through. So it's like vegetables, proteins, complex carbohydrates, and then simple sugars. So that will be fruits right at the end. The reason for a lot of vegetables is because I used to just see food as sort of the three main components, which is carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now I see them more as what's the micronutrient composition of food, and the greatest density of micronutrients is within your vegetables. So for me, getting as many vegetables in as humanly possible right at the start of the meal, that's kind of what my objective is. Like the body is constantly fighting to just heal itself, and we generally just keep getting in our body's way of healing itself. So fasting tends to be a really good route, or as a starting point, before looking for, you know, kind of medicines and you know and anything along those lines.
So what you lot are doing in terms of fasting and all the health information you've provided for me, I feel it takes a sense of nerve to do something like that, especially when you consider mainstream health information and what everyone else is doing. It really takes something to go against that or against the grain. How do you sort of evaluate that within yourselves?
it's like part logic, part intuition.
Yeah.
So I never got vaccinated. That was like I never got vaxxed because I didn't think it was healthy. I still don't think it's healthy. So, you know, it's about like looking at the information out there, but also like trusting your gut instinct.
What mainstream says, right, like again, you just have to look at what their results are, like as a starting point. So it's okay to take advice from, you know, let's say a bodybuilder if you're trying to put on muscle mass, right? It's okay to take advice from a billionaire or a multi-millionaire that has a very successful business if you're trying to grow your business, right? But I don't really take advice from doctors because a lot of the time they look like and they're not that healthy, and actually there's a lot of incentive there, and I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, right? But if you think about it from a profit leading, you know, capitalism perspective, right? It's like, let me push as many drugs onto you as humanly possible, right? And then you're on this carousel, because then there are side effects associated with the shit that the drugs that they've just given you, and then it just gets progressively worse, right? That's sort of the starting point. So that's level one. Level two is like, okay, that could work for me, it couldn't work for me, and the only way I'm going to find out is by testing it out for a week. So then you just say, I'm the guinea pig, I'll give it a go, and then we'll just see how it goes. And then I'll just journal everything. So it's just like, okay, cool, well, you know, day one, tried that, and this is what happened, this is how I felt, this is how my mood was, this is how my clarity was, this is what my productivity looked like. And then look at that against your existing routine and say, okay, well, how does my routine need to update based on the information that I've just gathered from this particular test? So that's how I play it.
We're in the information age right now where you can get information from basically anywhere, right, on the internet.
Information, what is truth, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So, weighing up both sides of it, right, where you don't want to go to the conventional side, the mainstream, but on the other side of it, you have people who are just yapping on the internet, essentially. Where do you find that medium, especially for younger people who want to start looking after their health?
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at this stuff, like I said, for about 20 years. So, and I can really summarize 20 years of information in just these 3 points. Point number 1, sleep properly. If you religiously focus on the quality of your sleep, I would say about 80% of your problems just vanish. And that's including psychological problems, emotional problems, issues in your relationships, because you're less snappy, you're more intelligent. Like everything, just a lot of things just kind of start melting away, right? So that's kind of step 1. Number 2, nutrition. And what I mean in that sense, try out the fasting, let's say once a week. But when I say fasting, intermittent fasting. If you are having, a big breakfast with a croissant, my business partner loves his croissant in the morning and it drives me nuts. We're two completely opposite people, and that's why we work really well together. But, don't have that. Let's just say have a black coffee and then just break your fast for lunch and just see how you get on. Do that for, let's say, a week or so. And then eat your vegetables, a lot of them. Like that's really where the gold is. Eat loads and loads of vegetables. Try lentils, try beans. When you're eating meat, good quality meat. When you're eating fish, try, Alaskan salmon. And a third one is exercise, right? So these 3 things, they're not kind of groundbreaking. I've not kind of, dropped a huge knowledge bomb. It's just those are the 3 things, right?
Would you recommend someone else have the same diet as you lot have?
It's okay for me to give advice out of my own experiences, and that sometimes cannot transcend to every single individual. That's why I asked you about getting bloods done, because I got my bloods done the January before last, and I'm not intolerant, but I'm allergic to things like dairy and gluten and tomatoes, and I'm have a grass allergy in the summer, and I'm allergic to birch, and I never knew any of this. We're all built differently. Me and you were different, mentally, physically, consciously, what we can put in our body, what affects us. So it's about understanding yourself and really feeding into that. So would I say for somebody to do what I do? I would say try and figure out what's good for you and listen to as many people as possible. Learn a lot, Andrew Huberman's a good one. Jordan B. Peterson, a lot of the psychology, Andrew Huberman's really good with breath work and meditation and food and intake and all this kind of stuff. And just read up on it and just listen to it, listen to the science behind it, make up your own assumptions for it, try it.
Test it out.
Test it
out. Just say that, hey, I'm going to be a guinea pig for, 6 months, and I'm just going to try a whole bunch of stuff out and then write it down. Write down how you feel every day.
That's it. Thank you.
I appreciate that, guys.